dominated the world have used money to rule it and have ruled it in their own interest. It looks at a world economic system that has no regard for the poor, that has no regard for the small nations, that has no regard for the poor of the small nations. And the policy is a dignified policy, is not a violent policy, is not a policy of guns. It's a very honorable policy, but it is a very clear policy. It is a policy that calls the poor of the world to stand together, to stand firm together, to struggle together, to struggle for change, to struggle for justice, to struggle through organization, to struggle through will, to struggle through determination, to struggle to build a new kind of world in which your children and mine will walk with more dignity, with better housing, with better opportunity, with better prices, with better response from the world monetary system. That is the world to which I call you. That is the world for which I struggle, and no power will turn me back from that world. And comrades, if you go and walk with me, if you go and step with me, if you go and move with me, we're moving as warriors. We're moving in determination. We're moving to struggle. We're moving to change that world. No power will turn us back.
Me ever fresh, me no green.
Me coulda never green, dog. Me no chow-chow. No. Ha, 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 ho, ho. Who you know?
But if change is what we really want to see, ladies and gentlemen, then we must rise up. We must unite. We must advocate. We cannot remain silent. Where are the young men, the young women, the men, the women, the boys, the girls who will put aside political divide and do what is best for Jamaica? Eternal Father, bless our land. Guide us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Be our light through countless hours. Even our pledge, our national pledge, says before God and all mankind, we cannot see a better Jamaica unless we return to the foot of the cross. Jamaica under God must increase in beauty, fellowship and prosperity, and play our part.
If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
I said I'm happy every day as I travel through this land. I've been mighty blessed by God, and I'm holding to his hand. Yes, mommy, I see you. Yes, the journey's almost over. Shut up. And the battle is nearly won. And I have a feeling. I have a feeling in my heart. The best is yet to come. Fly up it over there, so who not ready to get? Who not get up? Who not get up, no man? Who not get up, no man? I feel mad in this place. Let's go. I am happy every day as I travel through this land. I've been mighty blessed by God, and I'm holding to his. Over there, so I said the journey's almost over. I know the battle is nearly won. And I have a feeling in my heart, the best is yet. Come on, sir. I said the best is yet to come. When I walk through heaven's gates, yeah, I said the first time I'll see Jesus. I can hardly wait. And he showed me to a mansion and said, child, this is your home. And I have a feeling in my heart. You know this one? Listen, tell me who made the angels sing, and tell me who made the joy bells, and tell me who is the King of Kings. Nobody but mine. Come on, try go me. Well, yes, he made the world, he made the sea.
Oh, you know.
I want to hear the angels singing. I want to be in that number. I want to hear that trumpet song. We have done now. I want to hear archangel voice. I want to hear archangel. Oh, I want to hear when my name is called. I want to hear. Everybody know, I want to hear. I want to hear. I want to hear. I want to hear. Watch out now. I want to see the angel marching. I want to be in that number. I want to hear. I want to hear that trumpet song. I want to hear archangel voice. I want to hear. God bless you now.
Blood and fire, comrades who are in jungle tonight. On the nose that the word is love. Comrades, I come with a speech, but it's a different speech may I forgive tonight. But before I go into that, we have been saying all night that young people know say time come. And I want to bring up a young man who has looked for himself, him read for himself, him search for himself. And when him done, him realize that the only choice he could choose is the People's National Party. And I want to welcome Comrade Perry.
Hold on. We don't have much time. When I say time, you say come. Time. Senator Murray, somebody asked me, Perry, why aren't you a Labourite? Me ever fresh, me no green.
Me coulda never green dog, me no chow-chow. No. Ha, ho. Who ya know? Underpants, Paolo. We don't get in
Hold on, cut in, man, hold on.
Me coulda never green.
Hold on, no DJ, man, hold on. I don't have much time. The next Prime Minister, let me shake your hands, so big up yourself, Mark Golding, Jensek, and brother, Dayton Campbell, doctor. Listen, in 1938, the People's National Party was formed out of the vision to help the poor people. It was born out of restlessness of the people seeking for better. And I believe that the People's National Party continues to be the answer for the people. Can I hear an amen? Hold on. In 1995, under the auspices of P.J. Patson, the most honorable, there was a revitalization and an extension of the new National Youth Service Program, which gave young people the opportunity to earn Commander Man Church. It gave people the opportunity to better themselves. I don't have much time, but hear what? I hear the other people them say, you must choose Jamaica, but you can't choose Jamaica without choosing the people. God bless you.
Me coulda never green dog, me no chow-chow. No. Ha, ho. Me coulda never green dog, me no chow-chow.
Where's your flag, comrades?
Comrades, I want to let you know that young man is the former guild president at the University of the West Indies. That is the kind of young people that we attract in the People's National Party.
A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also. I do not support corruption. Corruption takes money away from children's education. It deprives hospitals of basic necessities. It means that roads are not fixed. Corruption deepens inequality. It siphons off taxpayers' money to make a few cronies richer with the political connections instead of benefiting the people. This government has been doing everything it can to weaken and undermine the Integrity Commission, which is an institution that I designed as Minister of Justice and brought the legislation to Parliament to fight corruption in this country. I have said it before and I will tell you again. Jamaica cannot move forward without a government built on integrity that embraces principles of good governance in this country.
Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant evening to you all. I hope that you are doing well. God is good. The rain is tearing on the outside. For those under the sound of my voice, this is a pre-recording because by the time you will be seeing this session of The Perspective, I'll be at the University of the West Indies Mona campus, a part of a panel discussion with some other youth leaders in our country as we seek to impact this young generation so that we can have a brighter tomorrow, a better future, a better Jamaica. So I told myself I couldn't leave my Perspective family hanging. It doesn't matter where I go in this world, whatsoever it is that I will become in this life, I will always make time for my Perspective family. All right, so this is a pre-recording, but I'm pretty sure, let me know where you're viewing from, because I'm pretty sure you have some people from Canada watching right now, somebody from Florida watching, somebody from Bronx, New York, somebody from Ohio, somebody from Curacao, probably somebody from Texas, somebody from St. Catherine, somebody directly from Bagwalk, Yuatan, somebody's there from East Portland. Come on, I know one of you. I don't have to see it, but I believe that somebody is watching from these places. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the perspective. It won't be a long session, but I have a number of things that I'd like to talk to you guys about. But let us just take a quick minute. Just a quick, I wonder if I can squeeze in just a quick minute to give the Lord thanks. Yes, man. After all, this life is over, and my labor here is ended, and I climb upon the mountain top so tall, looking over in that city where my Savior is preparing. Gives me grace that I will make it after all. Ladies and gentlemen, let us get right into it. Please like the live, share the live. Listen, for those who have been supporting me through the Zelle and the Cash App, I really appreciate it. Yes, and if you want to support as well, whether through Western Union, through the local bank account, just to keep the entire machinery going, where we can make improvements so that I can be of a greater impact to society, please reach out to me on my WhatsApp number and you will get the details. All right. But I really appreciate those who have been sowing into this ministry. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And may God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not looking good for our country. It's not looking good for our country. I want us to understand that we're living in serious times as a nation. We live in a time, ladies and gentlemen, where we have leaders, some of our leaders, they refuse to take accountability for anything. They go about as if they are above everybody else, they're above the law. And they can do whatsoever it is that pleases them. And nobody should say anything. It is dangerous to the very future of this country. They have been taking a significant advantage. They've been taking advantage of the people of this country. And I am saddened by what I've been seeing in our country. But we're going to get to more of that. I wanted to highlight that the Ministry of Education has ordered schools to allow students to wear warm jackets amid the cold front. You remember how the parent, the mother, the educator came out swinging against the despicable principal. The despicable principal. And I'm also hearing that the Ministry of Education is contemplating whether or not disciplinary measures will be taken against the principal. I welcome that. Ministry of Education, you know, where I see something good, I will mention it. My only issue is that why is it that the Ministry of Education had to come out to tell principals and schools that they must allow students to wear warm jackets? There seems to be a breakdown within our education system. I don't think any ministry, ladies and gentlemen, had to order schools to allow students to wear warm jackets. That is common sense. We have principals and some of our teachers and principals, those who claim that they're being disciplinarians and they're being strict. Some of them, they don't use common sense. This should have never escalated to this level. But sometimes it has to escalate so that we can see the incompetence in our education system. Why it is that the Ministry of Education had to instruct schools to allow students to wear warm jackets amid the cold front that you're experiencing. We didn't have to have the Ministry of Education or the Minister of Education telling our schools to be more accommodating to students during the cold front. You understand what I'm saying? We shouldn't have to tell schools to do that. Yes, when it comes to leadership, ladies and gentlemen, there are just certain things that you should know without anybody having to tell you. You call that common sense. You call it common sense. I'm not even in the best of moods, ladies and gentlemen, because I just got news that one of the elders at my church grew up seeing him singing for the Lord and leading the choir, teaching people how to literally give praises to the Lord the best way possible. I got news that he died. An old man, but he's somebody that impacted my youth during the early stages of my Christian walk. And it was sent in my family group that he passed away. Sleep in peace, Brother Johnson. Sleep in peace. Sleep in peace. Yeah, sleep in peace. But ladies and gentlemen, it tells me that our education system and many other ministries, many other sectors in society, they have not been able to teach our educators common sense. Am I against discipline? No, I'm not. Am I against the deans and the principals ensuring that law and order is being upheld in the schools? That's not what I'm against. I'm against a lack of empathy. I'm against a lack of common sense. Emotional intelligence is something very important, especially when you're dealing with children. But you, education minister, I blame you too. I blame you too. Don't you think it would have been appropriate for you to send out an advisory to all the schools? Peradventure, something like this could happen. Because don't act as if you don't know that some of the principals they act as if they have no sense.
Don't act as if some of our Jamaican schools, ladies and gentlemen, they act in a way sometimes you wonder if they are really in care or in keeping with our students and their future and their best interest at heart. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves the question, because we've been hearing a lot of things right across our schools and we question whether or not these people love our children. You know the context in which you live. You know some of our leaders, right, even in our schools, they are daft. You should have sent out something relaxing certain grooming policies to ensure that students could be comfortable as possible. But we always have to wait until people cry out, and that has been my argument for some time now. We have to wait until people block road before we fix road. We have to wait until people die before we act. Remember when Dr. Dawes was talking about the man-made crisis and how we are susceptible to leptospirosis and other diseases if we didn't act quickly? But hey, we waited until several persons lost their lives before we started to move. And my argument against this administration is not even just the lack of accountability, the lack of transparency, or the lack of integrity. All of those things are very truthful. But it is the lack of proactiveness that is needed for us to have effective governance. That is not present within our government. So they are very reactive. They only come out now talking when parents have to come on social media and talk how them go down to school and principal refuse to give them. Will the parent be getting the jackets? But I don't even, parent, don't take back the jackets. Because that for me is very shady and it seems very evil and wicked and creepy. Minister of Education, that principal needs to go. We're not sparing anybody in this season. Once you're breaching it, we've been tired for a very long time, Jamaica. Last night I asked for a suspension, but at this point in time, when I look at it, ladies and gentlemen, we're cleaning house. From the top come right down. He should be fired. Give us a better principal. Give us somebody who has emotional intelligence. Give us somebody who understands how to treat children. Give us somebody who knows time and place. Fire the man and give us somebody else. Somebody else out there can do a better job. I believe there's another person, ladies and gentlemen, who can replace him and do a better job. We're not laughing around with anybody in this season. Christopher Tufton must go. Even you yourself, Minister of Education, you need to go as well. You know where I see you more as a technocrat. I don't think you have the knowledge or let me not even say the knowledge. I can retract that. I don't think you have what it takes to really manage the Ministry of Education. No doubt you're a bright girl. No doubt. But there's something that the Ministry of Education is lacking. And this is a direct testament to what I'm alluding to. When you see, ladies and gentlemen, that principals, teachers and deans, some of them, in a time where Jamaica is experiencing unusual weather conditions, and they will still confiscate jackets. And when the parent goes to the office of the principal and asks for the jackets, confront him, try to have a mature conversation. I don't know if the principal is a parent. If he is a parent, it is even more concerning to me. I wonder how he treats his own children. And many of the times them have them children and they will never treat them children like that, but them come in a education system and treat people pitney like them are garbage. Many of them, they won't treat their children like how they treat other people pitney. But when you see these things happening, ladies and gentlemen, it is as a result of who is at the helm. It is a reflection of the leadership at the head of it. So, Dr. Dana, I won't call you a dunce. That would be very rude of me. And that would be untrue of me to say so. But there's something that the Ministry of Education needs that you are unable to give at this point in time. So I'm asking for Dr. Tufton to go. Minister Vaz, you need to leave. You should have been gone. The Prime Minister needs to step down. He's not certified. Mr. Mackenzie, I don't know what purpose you serve in local government. And even the Minister of Education needs to leave. We're going to go on until the entire thing crumbles right before our very eyes. What are we waiting on? Minister of Finance, you need to go. Have no clue what is happening in this country. But this government is reactive. It's a reactive government, and that's the reason why they have to wait until something happens before they address it. And we cannot continue like this, ladies and gentlemen. The Integrity Commission, though, they are introducing a new oversight framework for hurricane recovery contracts. You remember what happened now with Mr. Vaz and the Starlings? The Integrity Commission is putting in a framework, ladies and gentlemen, so that they can better track the hurricane recovery contracts, because a lot of procurement breaches been happening, and minister can tell you that they will never apologize. They will never apologize for what they did, and if they could do it again, they would. Blatant, ladies and gentlemen. Our leaders are letting us know that they don't care for what is written. They don't care for what is on the books. The Integrity Commission is now going to introduce a new oversight framework for the hurricane recovery contracts. But we need something like this, ladies and gentlemen, because a lot of people still don't get even aid. We need something to properly regulate what is happening in this country. Don't tell me about NARA. We don't want to hear nothing about NARA because the opposition is not even a part of NARA. So we don't know what NARA is doing. They're supposed to select some CEO soon. We don't hear anything about that. We need an independent body, ladies and gentlemen, something separate from this government. They have no intention of including us in what is happening. So the Integrity Commission is saying, listen, we are going to have to implement a framework, an oversight framework, because some of these contracts, ladies and gentlemen, that the government is engaging, a lot of them are nepotism contracts, them there. Friend and company. People are benefit. You don't hear what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. Look at what is happening in our country.
Comes Minister Darrell Vaz, as he rejected the Auditor General's report stating that he breached procurement rules when Starlink devices were bought after Hurricane Melissa.
Mr. Vaz also labeled some of the Auditor General's findings as uninformed and grossly inaccurate.
Now, the parliamentary opposition has, however, raised serious concerns and called for full disclosure.
Here's Andrea Chisholm with the details.
Telecommunications Minister Darrell Vaz.
I make no apology whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I go further. In circumstances such as these, if I had to do it again, I would do it again.
The reference is to the Auditor General's report, which showed that the minister breached Section 20 of the Public Procurement Act when he initiated the purchase of 200 Starlink devices for roughly $12 million. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management ODPEM was later told to pay for them. Vaz initiated the purchase of the Starlink devices as co-chair of the Relief and Recovery Oversight Committee to address recovery efforts due to Hurricane Melissa. But the Auditor General pointed out that only the accountable officer or head of entity is legally empowered to initiate the procurement, and there is no provision in law for the minister to select suppliers or give directives to ODPEM for payments. Additionally, the Starlink devices were delivered to the Office of the Police Commissioner on November 14, 2025. Formal approval was not granted by the Director General of ODPEM until November 20. But for Mr. Vaz, he did not breach procurement rules, and he described some of the Auditor General's findings as uninformed and grossly inaccurate. He said his actions were in keeping with the guidance note on the acquisition of goods and services during an emergency, which was issued by the Office of Public Procurement Policy. Vaz said that he acted quickly to ensure people were connected after Hurricane Melissa, and the requirements for employing emergency procurement procedures were satisfied. In the meantime, the opposition PNP says the matter underscores growing questions about transparency, accountability, and the management of public resources.
I wish to point out further that the issue is complicated by the minister's own public statements. On November 1, 2025, Minister Vaz announced that Jamaica had received 700 Starlink units as a donation in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, presenting the devices as emergency support for national connectivity. Jamaicans are entitled to clear and consistent answers. If 700 Starlink units were declared as a donation, the public must now be told why a subsequent purchase has been made and now been flagged by the Auditor General.
In response to the opposition statement, I simply say to Philip Paulwell, the leader of the opposition, all members of parliament in the affected areas, both opposition and government, plus mayors and councillors on both sides were recipients of Starlink to allow them to be able to better communicate with the responding agencies and their constituents. So I'm not quite sure what they are complaining about.
Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, Minister Vaz, he has missed the point entirely. He said that he's not sure what the opposition is complaining about. The issue is not whether or not the opposition is complaining that they didn't get Starlink. You mentioning that persons from the opposition got Starlink is not the plight, is not the cry. It's not the cry, Minister Vaz. And probably we need to slow things down for Minister Vaz. Sometimes we believe that all our leaders are able to understand, simple reasoning. So sometimes we have to slow it down. Maybe we have to give him a little grace. But the concern, Minister Vaz, is not whether or not people received Starlinks from the opposite side. The question is, why did you make more purchases? What happened to the Starlinks that you received initially? And why is it that your public statements are so inconsistent? The lack of transparency, the arrogance, and the gaslighting is not pointing to credible leadership or proper oversight of what is happening. The fact that you will say publicly, boldly, that you make no apologies for what you did is the exact problem that we're having in this country. Even when leaders, ladies and gentlemen, are brought to the forefront and the proof against them is so overwhelming, they will tell you and I that they have no remorse about it. Then what is to stop these leaders from doing more damage? Damage on top of what they've already done. What is to stop them? Who can hold them accountable? Because if the Auditor General's report means absolutely nothing to Minister Vaz, if the Auditor General's report means nothing to Minister Vaz, if the opposition spokesperson, Philip Paulwell, can call him out and it means nothing to Minister Vaz, if the people of this country can speak out and it means nothing to Minister Vaz and the Andrew Holness-led administration, what is there to stop them? How can they be stopped? You'd think that the opposition and the people and the Auditor General, all of these institutions and different advocates would bring some level of sobriety to the man. And somehow his conscience would be at a place where he would look within himself and say, no man, I did some wrong. Let me own up to it and fix it. Give us clarity. Instead, ladies and gentlemen, we saw a desperate attempt to justify wrongdoing, plain as day, clear as crystal. This is what we've become. The lack of transparency is right across the Andrew Holness-led administration. And I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, we need international independent intervention. We need an III, an international independent intervention. Something that is not attached to the government, is not attached to Jamaica. We cannot trust even some of our internal processes to deal with these matters. Why? Because time and time again, ladies and gentlemen, the proof is overwhelming. The proof is clear as day that something is clearly wrong with the modus operandi of this administration. And nobody's there to hold them accountable.
Mayor of Lucy, Sheridan Samuels, has accused the government of failing to distribute supplies that were intended for hurricane victims across the parish. Speaking with the CVM News, Mayor Samuels says that since the passage of Hurricane Melissa, little to nothing has been done by the government to assist affected residents, particularly those in Western Hanover. Carla Ramdeen reports.
A cat and mouse game. That is how Mayor of Hanover, Sheridan Samuels, is describing the government's handling of relief efforts in Western Hanover following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Mayor Samuels accused the government of making grand announcements but no action.
Grand announcements have been made, and when these grand announcements made, it's there for a little while, and within 9 days you don't hear anything about it again. So what they do is like you have a piece of cheese and a cat is there and you just rub it and then you remove it. So what they are doing to us in Hanover is just to show us the things that they can do. And without delivering it to us, they remove it again.
Mayor Samuels explained that following the hurricane, they were given relief supplies such as water tanks, generators, and other items, which were placed at a storage area at Watson Taylor Park in Lucy. But he says those items were removed, and to date, no one knows where they were taken.
They brought it.
Where the water tank them there? Me so come to Christopher Tufton. Where are the water tanks? Where the aid there? Where the Starlink them there? Where the money there? Where is the integrity? Where is the transparency? Where is the accountability? Where is the honesty? Where is it? Our people are suffering, ladies and gentlemen. Our people are suffering under this administration. It seems as if nobody can talk to them. No accountability, no nothing, but we need to take a stand. So the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, JMDA, they are warning. Who I think they're warning? They're warning Christopher Tufton, the Ministry of Health and Wellness. They're warning the entire hospital. They're warning the entire system of possible disruptions at the University Hospital of the West Indies over unresolved doctors' concerns. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot allow these conversations to die out. There are so many conversations that we need to keep alive because this administration must give an account for the injustice that we have experienced in this nation under the Andrew Holness-led administration. Go up on strike, doctors. Take a stand. Yes, it sounds harsh, ladies and gentlemen, because many persons will not be able to see the doctors and who knows the help that they may need. But desperate times call for desperate measures. The doctors need to take a stand. Disrupt the order, doctors. Disrupt it. This passive type of thing is not going to work clearly. And you all know that I'm always for diplomacy. Never lose that. Don't have your right and give it away. I'm not saying to vandalize place. I'm not saying that you should cause a disruption to the point where chaos and anarchy takes over our nation. That is not what the perspective is advocating for tonight. But we have to disrupt something, ladies and gentlemen. Something needs to be disrupted in this country. Something needs to be disrupted. Listen to me, Jamaica Medical Doctors Association. Disrupt it. Disrupt it.
Is a release from the People's National Party Media Unit.
This is Dr. Alfred Dawes, Shadow Minister on Health and Wellness. The Auditor General has now confirmed what I have been warning about for over a year. No procurement documents were found for $521 million in contracts awarded by the University Hospital of the West Indies. That is not a clerical error. This is a serious failure of governance. For more than a year, I raised concerns about procurement practices across the Ministry of Health and its agencies. Each time, the minister assured the country that systems were sound and functioning properly. The Auditor General has now shown that this was simply not true. Despite repeated public assurances from Health Minister Christopher Tufton, hundreds of millions of dollars were committed without basic documentation. We saw this after the Integrity Commission exposed the improper $80 million in contracts awarded to Market Me. We saw it again when a $31 million drill for Bustamante Hospital was publicly praised as a model procurement. Yet once more, serious breaches occurred under the minister's watch. This government has been in office for nearly a decade. After 3 consecutive terms, excuses about inherited problems are no longer credible. When procurement fails, hospitals go without equipment. Healthcare workers are left unsupported and patients pay the price. That is how a health system is driven into crisis. A system cannot credibly investigate itself. A committee appointed by the minister to probe the failures he presided over is like a man on trial choosing his own jury. Jamaicans deserve independent scrutiny, real reform, and accountability that puts patients first.
At pnp.org.jm.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to disrupt the order. We cannot allow things to continue like this, as if nothing is happening in this country. We have to disrupt the order. Doctors, if you have to walk off duty and say, listen, until these matters are solved, I will not be rendering my service here anymore. Listen to what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. Every great revolution in our history, every great change that our world experienced, it happened because somebody disrupted the order. Somebody disrupted the status quo. Somebody went against the norm. Somebody thought outside the box. Somebody did something differently. It is insanity to do the same things over and over and expect a different result. Are you understand what I'm saying this evening, ladies and gentlemen? It was today somebody sent me something and the story was so profound. The story was so profound. Somebody has to do something different. There was a woman, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Gladys West. Dr. Gladys West, born in rural Virginia, I believe, born on a tobacco farm, African American, back in the Jim Crow era, where persons only expected black people were only expected to pick cotton. The story said that this lady walked nearly 5 kilometers to school every day to get an education because she believed that there was more to her life than this. She believed that she could bring a change in her life, in her world, in her family, and to the black community. Listen to what I'm saying. I don't have much time. I'm going to be leaving very soon. But I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that Dr. West went to school, became the valedictorian. She got a bachelor's and a master's degree in advanced mathematics. She got a scholarship to work with the Navy, I believe, warfare and something to that effect. And she invented a computer, the most advanced at its time, that could give an exact replica of the true surface of the earth, shape of the earth. So the GPS that we use today, we owe it to Dr. Gladys West, an African-American woman, born in the times where black people were ridiculed. But she did what? She disrupted the order. And a lot of persons don't know that name. But every airplane will fly, every ship will sail, every time you pop out your GPS, every Uber, every delivery, we owe it to her because she invented the framework, the blueprint when it comes to GPS system that is worth billions and billions of US dollars today. Somebody must disrupt the order. Doctors, nurses, Jamaica, Jamaicans, we need to stand. We need to stand. Disrupt the order so that a change can come. Let's take our only break. Soon come.
And Pearl Therapy, we are here to help you to bring ultimate relaxation to your feet. Our hot stone, Swedish, and deep tissue massage services are here to help you to get rid of tensions, minor swellings, and aches and pain, increase flexibility and circulation. If you are having any heart or circulatory diseases, then this might not be for you. Reach out to us and let's see if you can secure yourself with a foot massage for as low as $4,500. Thank you for choosing Pearl Therapy, the healing hub.
Food is designed to be felt, not just tasted. Soft warmth, gentle richness, a harmony that melts effortlessly on the tongue. At Cummings Exquisite Caterers, every dish is an invitation, guided by passion, finished with elegance. We cater for life's most meaningful moments, elegant weddings, private celebrations, and much more. With a serene repast center, just 10 minutes away from two major cemeteries. We are located at 38 Dublin Spanish Town Road. Reach out to us, 876-573-9124.
Cummings Exquisite Caterers, where
a corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also. I do not support corruption. Corruption takes money away from children's education. It deprives hospitals of basic necessities. It means that roads are not fixed. Corruption deepens inequality. It siphons off taxpayers' money to make a few cronies richer with the political connections instead of benefiting the people. This government has been doing everything it can to weaken and undermine the Integrity Commission, which is an institution that I designed as Minister of Justice and brought the legislation to Parliament to fight corruption in this country. I have said it before and I will tell you again. Jamaica cannot move forward without a government built on integrity that embraces principles of good governance in this country.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Perspective. I'm your host, Perry Cummings Jr. If you're just joining, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment Let me hear your perspective as well. Also, this is a pre-recording. It is live, but it's not live, if you get what I mean. It's a pre-recorded session, as I do have leadership duties elsewhere. But I had to do something for my perspective family. But hey, as Mr. Mark Golding said it very clearly and so profound, if the head of the stream is corrupt, if the head of the stream is corrupt, what do you expect? Now, I see a lot of persons talking about this, and it would be remiss of me not to mention it as an objective platform. But Julian Silvera is convicted and is guilty of manslaughter. Now, a lot of persons on social media are very upset because they believe that a manslaughter charge, or conviction rather, is inappropriate and it's not right for what they believe he deserves. I'm going to simply say this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to simply say this, and I won't dwell too long on it. Let us not be distracted. A lot of laborites will love to come and they say one by one, uno go into jail, trying to make a correlation between what happened here with the People's National Party. And it is so disingenuous of some of our Jamaicans to deflect from serious issues. Don't get me wrong, this is a very sensitive case. And I will say this. The details of the evidence that is online for everybody to see it is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. When you talk about the fact that Mr. Silvera did say that she died of natural causes, but investigations showed otherwise. The fragments of bullets that were found, the renovation of the room, the tiles being changed, the place being painted, the confiscation of the children's devices, right, as a way to cover up. I'm just communicating what I saw in the reports, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very, very interesting, and it is just so sad. The entire case, the entire situation, where she was shot, the fact that it is being said that there was an argument and things could have gone much differently, ladies and gentlemen. All I'm going to say is this. The court will and they must handle the matter. If persons want to have a discussion whether or not they believe that he should have been just charged for murder and should have received life in prison versus being guilty of manslaughter, then that's a conversation for another time, and it's a conversation that people are free to have. You're free to share your own opinions. But I don't want us to be distracted, and I don't want persons to fall in the trap of being distracted by laborites who will try now to weaponize this and deflect from very serious issues that is affecting every single Jamaican. The Jamaica Labour Party, for too long, they've deflected and they've distracted the people of this country from a lot of very serious issues. I don't know the intricacies of this case. I've never met Mr. Silvera. I wasn't there to tell you what happened. I can only tell you what the reports say. Some will say that it is another case of the rich and the uptown getting away and avoiding very serious consequences. Again, you're free to share your opinion. Others may say it is just the law. I believe there was a discussion with Dion Jackson Miller about whether or not We may have to revisit laws to ensure that people cannot go around. And listen, the conversation is a long one. All I am saying, ladies and gentlemen, let us not allow ourselves to get distracted and to fall into the politicking that some labor rights are doing. That is not for us. That is not for us. We have a lot of serious issues to address in this country. And we've seen clear as day. We're seeing clear as day where this administration, they don't care. They don't care. Laborites love to bring up FINSAC as well. What they're talking about the Silvera case now. And let me say this, wrong is wrong and right is right, you know. I'll always stand 10 toes down on that. I don't care which political party you represent. I don't care what campaign you were jumping up on last year. Wrong is wrong, right is right. Listen, when Mr. Damian Crawford said one by one them going to jail, I never took it to mean just labor rights alone. I never jump up and say, oh, it's only labor rights alone can do wrong. And it's only labor right. People can be in corruption and skullduggery. I never take it to mean that, ladies and gentlemen. I believe in cleaning house right across the board, and I stand in tandem with the leadership of the People's National Party. Let the chips fall where they're supposed to fall, and let them lie there where they're supposed to lie. We will not be distracted. We have our legal system for a reason. If you want to debate whether or not justice was served, feel free to have that discussion. But let us not allow the Jamaica Labour Party propaganda machinery to deflect from the very serious breaches, procurement breaches, lack of oversight, blatant corruption, nepotism, corruption at its highest it has ever been. And I think sometimes some of us as supporters of the People's National Party, we can get too emotional too quickly. So labor rights will be on our platforms and they will be in the comments trying to get a reaction out of you. But because some of us are too thin-skinned, we react and we give them exactly what they want. And at every conversation we need to entertain. It's not every conversation we need to entertain. Comrades, let us be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. And harmless doesn't mean that it should be a walkover. Harmless simply means trouble what needs to be troubled and leave what needs to be left alone. So I see some comrades getting into these long conversations about Silvera, and that has nothing to do with the People's National Party. As an organization, for those who may want to go down the rabbit hole and say, well, he must have received help to refurbish the room and to paint over. Listen, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, you can do that. I will focus on what is affecting our country as a whole. I will remain focused and look at the blatant corruption that is happening in this country and what needs to be changed. Because while we are there politicking and talking about Silvera, when it is out of our hands, the law must take its course. You have people in the western parts of this country who are sleeping outside in the cold front. You have people who still don't get aid yet. You have people who are still in darkness. And you have some politicians who will not even have the decency to apologize for the blatant wrong that they've committed. So labor rights love to talk about a lot of things. And one of the things they love to talk about is FINSAC. So they're talking about Silvera now. But I saw something on social media. I wanted to play some of it. I want us to listen. And I promise this is the last thing we're going to touch before we head out of here. But listen.
Back then in the 90s, the PNP administration decided that they couldn't watch so many people lost their money. How many people knew that over 500,000 Jamaicans got their money back, every cent back? How many people?
Yeah, man, nobody lost any money because the taxpayers upped it up. It pushed the debt to GDP ratio up by 40%. Yet Omar Davis was still able to get the debt to GDP ratio down from 262% in 1989 to 115% in 2007. That is the largest reduction in debt to GDP in the history of Jamaica. Yet nobody don't want to talk about that and make him the villain.
I want to talk a little bit about FINSAC Ralston, because I interviewed Dr. Omar Davis last year, and he told me that a draft report from the FINSAC inquiry was sent to the government when that inquiry was put in.
Yeah, man.
For review. The Jamaica Labour Party spent over $150 million of taxpayers' money for to investigate the FINSAC debacle. Why is it we have not seen that report published to the people?
That's a good question for the Prime Minister and Dr. Nigel Clark.
Ralston, people like...
And also a good question for the former Minister Audley Shaw, who was very vociferous about investigating the matter.
Let me ask you a question, Ralston. Is it that...
Why is it that the report has not yet been released? Why? Why? Labor rights love to talk about FINSAC, and the only reason why I am bringing up FINSAC, ladies and gentlemen, it is because it is one of the things that the labor rights love to bring up when it comes to the People's National Party. And it is what they try to weaponize to deflect from what is happening in their administration and what is happening in this country. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, listen.
That this GLP administration are hiding things that would implicate members of the Jamaica Labour Party why they don't release the FINSAC report.
Well, that I would say would be a reasonable assumption, because as I said, the former Finance Minister Audley Shaw was very vocal about investigating the matter. So it is kind of strange that, I mean, after spending $150 million, we get no report, and the former Finance Minister Clark said, boy, we just put it on the archives and for the university to study.
And who want to search it and study it can search it and study it.
Yeah, because they know that nobody's going to waste any time on that.
There was a loan to a Prime Minister, Ralston.
Yep.
That was not paid back because he said he forget the loan. Was that a part of the bank's problem back in the late 80s, early 90s?
No, that was part of the problem in 1996 when Central National Bank went down. That money was borrowed from Central National Bank, which was run by Don Crawford. Yeah. So, the crisis started with Blaze Trust and Merchant Bank in 1994, and then Central National went down with about $6 billion for the Bank of Jamaica.
So, which bank did Mr. Siaga borrow the money from?
Central National Bank, $30 million.
So, hold on. Then why am I think of Jamaican?
No, man, US dollar, man. They were using it to build the place called La Carinosa, Enchanted Gardens in St. Ann.
In Ocherius. Hold on.
Yeah, man.
Portland people no come to the front of the line, let me tell you something. Every Portlander come to the front of the line, let me tell you something. Ralston, you said in 1996, Mr. Siaga borrowed $30 million. From which bank?
Central National Bank, which was run by Don Crawford. No, he never borrowed in 1996. The bank went down in 1996. He borrowed it while he was Prime Minister.
Right, so he borrowed $30 million while he was Prime Minister from Central National Bank.
To build Enchanted Gardens in Ocherius.
To build Enchanted Garden in Ocherius. And that was one of the reasons why they took cruise ship from Port Antonio to go to Ocherius so that their business, Enchanted Gardens, could flourish. Portland people no come here. And then, what did Mr. Siaga say about the loan, Ralston?
Boy, I said, boy, I just forgot it. I never remember it.
Take a look at my body. Want the
Say you borrow 30 million US dollars. Hey, Raleigh, is there anybody in the government now who used to work for Mr. Siaga then?
Yeah, man, the Prime Minister used to work with him, man.
Hey, tell her.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you listening? Are you listening, ladies and gentlemen? Are you listening? All right.
What you say?
Yeah, man, Prime Minister used to work with him.
You mean in a 1996?
Yeah,
1995?
Yeah, man, Prime Minister used to work with him. Man.
So you're saying in 1994, 1995, 1996? Andrew Holness used to work for Mr. Siaga?
Yeah, man.
As what? What was his position?
Well, he was like an account executive in the office. Yeah, because remember, Mr. Siaga was his mentor. Yeah, so he would have known about all of those things.
Tell her. 30 million US dollars.
Yeah, man.
And say you forget about it. So things like those would come up in the FINSAC inquiry.
Yeah, man, of course, that's a part of the...
Ladies and gentlemen, why is it that the Jamaica Labour Party, the Andrew Holness-led administration, refuses to release the FINSAC report? I wonder if it's because these things are in the report. Well, the gentlemen are saying it very clearly. Listen.
The whole thing because Central National Bank was the second institution to go down. And they went down with $6 billion from the Bank of Jamaica because the Bank of Jamaica was providing liquidity support to them.
And then the GLP, the Prime Minister himself, loved to talk about FINSAC. That caused Jamaica how much percent of GDP we had to pay out?
40%, $140 billion, 40% of GDP.
$140 billion.
And for the benefit of your listeners, that means after FINSAC took all of the bad loans and bad assets and sell them, that was the amount of money that the taxpayers had to put up.
$140 billion.
Yep.
Me hear some argument about the former finance minister that he had some problem too. Him did have some problem too?
Well, that's one of the interesting things. So the real question is, why was he so vociferous about the inquiry and into FINSAC, and then all of a sudden we get no report?
I wonder if him never remember same had issues in it too. I wonder if him never remember. Come on, everybody. Tell her. Because, you see, you have some people, that when you hear them talk something, just look at them because they're talking about themselves. I hear the Prime Minister say, him no make promise where him can't keep. And any promise him make where him can't keep, him come back and tell you.
Okay.
And then we can list a myriad term limit for Prime Minister.
Man. Job descriptions.
Set election date.
First 100 days. Yeah, man.
Let's go back to FINSAC. I don't done with FINSAC yet. Because FINSAC is one of the things that they are saying that mess up the country. But, as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Omar Davis told me on this platform that over 500,000 people were saved. They keep talking about a lot of people went crazy because FINSAC took their business, took their house. And then the Prime Minister basically said that Mark Golding and Peter Bunting benefited from FINSAC. Explain to my listeners, Ralston, how businessmen could have benefited from FINSAC.
Well, I don't know how Mark Golding and Peter Bunting benefited from FINSAC. I knew that then Finance Minister Ardisha made some comments about them. They took him to court and he lost the case and he was supposed to pay them some money, and I think them just said so. They're not going to be able to afford it, so just forgot about it.
Hold on. Me never hear that one here. That one I knew. I want to remember this. Tell me that again, Ralston.
Yeah, man. He had accused them of some dealings in terms of FINSAC, and they took him to court, and it came to nothing in relation to him. And he was ordered to pay them some money, and them just never bothered with it.
Them just low him.
Yeah, because them never think him can afford it. So the way businessmen could get benefit from FINSAC is that when the assets were being sold by FINSAC,
yes,
the people got some discounted prices because there was nobody to buy the assets.
Right, so they were selling out the asset cheap.
Yeah, because when we want to explain to the people, FINSAC was created in order to take the bad assets from the banks who had government money because they get support from BOJ and sell them in order to get back the money. And there was nobody willing to buy them. Yeah, because most of the people who have money in Jamaica were FINSAC, and them can't create the problem.
So anybody who had some money back then could have get cheap property to buy cheap house, cheap business.
No,
because
that is how Mr. Leedson got NCB to buy. That is how the Trinidadians them got Guardian. That is how we get Sagicor. Yeah, that is it.
Yeah, because
some of the people have to come from foreign come buy.
How much did they get NCB for again? $2?
$4 billion around there, sir.
It's a little bit of money.
Yeah, because NCB had about 26 billion in bad debt.
Oh.
Yep.
So business people. Hold on for me, Ralston. Make us see if I hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, you see how the Jamaica Labour Party gets up every day and they talk about issues like FINSAC. Now they're talking about Silvera. They were even trying to talk about the hurricane relief funds that the People's National Party collected on the donation website and why there's no transparency. But I like to tell you that I've received wind that the People's National Party will be detailing what they have collected and what they have accomplished with the money. But you recognize what the JLP continues to do. You would think that it was the PNP who is the government. The criticisms that come against the People's National Party, you would think that we are the one in government. The JLP takes no account, and when they're under pressure, what do? They talk about FINSAC. They talk about FINSAC, they talk about FINSAC, they talk about FINSAC. Why not release the report? Why not tell that? Why not talk about the many thousands of people who got back their money? Why not talk about the many persons who benefited from the FINSAC? Remember, FINSAC was an attempt to fix a problem, FINSAC wasn't a problem, FINSAC was an effort. It was a coordinated effort to respond to a global meltdown that was happening financially. But what did the JLP propaganda machinery do? They turned the narrative around completely. They picked out some things and fill it in with other things. And now they want to make it seem as if FINSAC was a deliberate scheme to reap from the poor and rob the poor, rape the poor, to benefit the rich. We must be very mindful of the Jamaica Labour Party. And we must be very, very calculated in this season, ladies and gentlemen. They will continue to come up with the rhetorics. They will continue to fight against the People's National Party. Why? Because I've said it before. The Jamaica Labour Party has lost a significant amount of political capital and political relevance. Look around you. The proof is overwhelming. The JLP knows that they are losing strides. And they know that if it continues like this, the PNP will become the next government of Jamaica. They can talk all sorts of things. Say what you want to say about the PNP. The path that the Jamaica Labour Party is on, ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you, they have lost a significant amount of political capital and they know it. So what they have to resort to They have to try and discredit the PNP from now. They have to try and discredit the PNP from now. They have to be campaigning from now. PR stunt after PR stunt from now. Because everything is coming to the forefront now. The skirts are being lifted. The carpet is being lifted. And everything is being exposed. So they talk about FINSAC. They talk about Silvera. And they do whatsoever it is that they can do to try and discredit the People's National Party. But let me say this to you, JLP. God and time. God and time. And I'll leave it there. Speaking about God and time, which was the catchy slogan for MP Isat Buchanan from East Portland. He will be joining us on The Perspective next week, Wednesday. He gave me his word. He messaged me and he said, Perry, when am I coming on? And I said, let me know when you want to come on. We were thinking about after Parliament, but that is next week, Thursday, I believe that's when Parliament is. And I said, we can't wait so long. We can't wait so long. Come on Wednesday. Most of our guests so far, they've been on Wednesday at 7 p.m. And he said, listen, I'll be here. And we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about a few things because we've been seeing some things in the constituency. And I saw a video from him recently. You know, we'll play it then, and we will have a conversation about East Portland, the experience of one of the newest MPs in Parliament, his own plans. You know, Mr. Buchanan campaigned on bringing the heat. You understand what I'm saying, which is health, education, agriculture, and tourism. Yes, I know the intricacies of his manifesto and what his plans were. Why? Because Perry Cummings Jr. was on the campaign trail with Mr. Isat Buchanan for weeks in East Portland. Big up East Portland! East Portland! You don't know the word is love. It was such an amazing experience, and I thank him for the opportunity to have been there on the campaign trail with him. And as you can clearly see, we would have been very, very successful. A vase was broken in East Portland. They went and did a recount. We got more votes because one man had a plan, the other person had gimmicks. Gone are the days when gimmicks win political races. We're not about the gimmicks. Substance over hype. You remember how they spoke about Mr. Buchanan bringing up his past, talking as if persons cannot learn from their mistakes and be a better version of themselves? Well, Mr. Buchanan showed them up, and they're still trying to recover from that loss, ladies and gentlemen. That loss to the JLP in East Portland, it struck a nerve. It has shaken up the entire JLP apparatus. The entire machinery of the Jamaica Labour Party has been significantly damaged. You don't realize what is happening. These days, the Prime Minister hardly wants to open his mouth and address anything. And I'm also hearing, ladies and gentlemen, that it is very possible. It is very possible that somebody may try to challenge the Prime Minister for President of the Jamaica Labour Party. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. I don't know how true it is. But that's what I'm hearing. I wouldn't be surprised, to be very honest. Because I can tell you this. If you know the history as to how Andrew Holness became president of the JLP, I can tell you this, not many persons were very fond of Mr. Holness. You'd have to do that research. Ask anybody who knows about politics and how Andrew Holness started. He wasn't a favorite. He wasn't a favorite. Conversations for another time. Next week, Wednesday, we'll be having Mr. Isat Buchanan, the one who brought the heat to East Portland. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be seeing you soon. Tomorrow, God sparing our lives. I'll be back 6 p.m. sharp. Hopefully, I'll be live this time. But for now, bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you soon. Remember, this weekend, we'll be dropping this beautiful song, myself and Ryan Mark. Nearer.